Hello, and well met, travelers. Happy to see you here. I am Jake of the Fake Jake fame. A little update for everyone. I'm excited to announce that I have joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through the ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. I joined because I care about the safety and well-being of my community members. If you feel my behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They will help make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills that you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. More importantly, please get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Please help us build safer communities together. Thank you. Hello and welcome. We're going to be playing some Beyond All Reason, a game based on Total Annihilation. Free to play, by the way. It's like a open source creative adventure some guys are doing. We're playing on the Supreme Isthmus, which is a very popular map, and I'm just playing with bots because I'm bad at this game. So we're just going to kind of see how I do. I believe we are playing as Cortex, which is one of the two main factions. There is a third faction in the works. So you've got Cortex, Armada, and Legion, with Legion being the experimental build, if I am not mistaken. Now, I take a spot in the back, which,
starting location,
if I'm not mistaken, is usually meant to be the air position. And I am attempting to learn how to play air. Though in this game, I changed to being a bit more what I think people would call eco, which is like an economy build that's meant to really like fuel the group at the end. I'm also still learning hotkeys and everything because I'm still, again, very new at the game. So, veterans, if you're watching this, offer constructive criticism, but cut me a break. There's a reason I'm playing with bots and not with real people. A little later in the game, you will see that I kind of get overwhelmed with all of what's happening. I don't quite know what the right way to counter stuff is, and so things go kind of bad. At the moment, I'm just setting up. I am having my commander drop in close enough to the metal that I can hopefully just immediately drop down a metal extractor and then be able to turn up and put down another one, get some power going, and then continue there. You see here, my commander doesn't start building. That's because I accidentally queued up a move order in the middle there. These things happen. Skilled players don't do that as much. Maybe? I don't quite know. Now, I've watched some like other folks do this type of thing, and something that they're much better at than I am is like base construction. So they will be able to structure their base, and they have a better awareness of like the build areas. Also, they'll have hotkeys memorized, so they won't have to spend as much time searching menus like I have to. But as an air player, I drop down a air base being built there, and then start a construction and a scout. The constructor is to work on base because the commander can't build everything. This is something that I didn't know my first game. I really kind of screwed the pooch and made a bad game for a bunch of people because I dropped in immediately with no previous history into the game into a multiplayer 16-player 8v8 game. It was bad. Don't do that. play bots for a while, watch other people play. There is a robust spectator view, and people are more than happy to comment on gameplay while you're playing. So these things that I'm building right now with the constructor, that little flying robot, is a construction tower. This allows you to... It aids in the construction of vehicles and buildings around it in its radius, right? Here you can see that the enemy has decided they want to come and start poking, so I have to do a little milling around with my commander. And then, of course, because I don't know hotkeys, I accidentally open up a chat window somehow. Still not quite sure how I did that. But... You can see up there in the mini-map that my scout is crawling right along and finding not too many people up here. And this is when I tell it to do a quick patrol, I think. Yeah, I tell it to do a quick patrol just to see if there's any folk in the back line here. And then I do a flyover and I pop her in the corner so that I can have access to it later if I need to scout. Then we got fighters coming out, and I'm attempting to... I set up a patrol route so that it'll fly, or that one will fly. I, at this point, have not yet started issuing orders to my buildings, but I am getting started on some solar power, which, as it turns out, is something I should have gone and done a little more of, because a little later on here, I think the wind drops really precipitously and it causes a issue for me. Now, in a real game, I would be expected to have provided, I think, transport to my fellow players, and they would have been giving me metal in exchange for that, as it was it's important for them to be able to move some units around, to be able to build in hard to reach places, which gives a tactical advantage overall. Spoiler alert, we do lose this match. It takes about an hour for the match to play out. I'm probably going to skip around as we go, because I'm going to run out of things to say about what I'm doing, and it'll just be a lot of the same. So we'll kind of bounce around here or there. But at the moment, I am trying to get some economy going. Let's see here, I'm kind of trying to figure out exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I send out a shuriken, which is a cortex-only unit that stuns ground targets. So I lock that guy down with a shuriken because I don't want them coming in and messing around with my base. And then I start building some bombers to be able to go out and attack and actually cause damage to these little scouts coming in for the red team.
Need power.
Something we're doing a lot of. Here I'm trying to figure out how the fuck my hotkeys work again. I accidentally pressed. I've been playing a lot of RimWorld, so I've got a lot of RimWorld muscle memory built up right now. I actually spam space quite a lot that you guys aren't going to be able to see or hear, because I'm trying to pause the game to click on something. Just kind of funny. Now, metal is an incredibly important resource, as it is one of the two, so you kind of have a choice. You can either get metal or you can die, or where you can get energy or you can die. Or you can do both and live fruitful, hopeful, happy lives, right? All those good, pleasant things. Here we are, I'm noticing that there are scouts sneaking around the back line still, harassing us, so I have been building bombers to try and counter those devious little devices. Now, something else I need to do in this game, because you'll see me click the button at some point, maybe, if I keep the clip in. At some point, I do try to put down a blueprint. Now, I don't have a blueprint for anything in this game, but people have them, and they're very useful from what I've seen, and I really need to sit down and actually make a couple, which would help, just in general being able to do something like that. So that's one of those things I need to work on. Let's see here. I've got the bombers up and running, hopefully trying to suss out that guy down there. But because I gave them a move order and not a fight order, they're not attacking everyone they see. So something to keep in mind is you will want to issue fight commands. It's like an attack move, essentially. And that will allow your weapons platforms to actually attack things, which is nice. It's what they're supposed to do. Now, I don't know if this is the right timing for this, but I'm trying to get my T2 air base up and running. Honestly, I don't know the best timings for things. I've heard tell that people get T2s out in 5 minutes. That seems quite absurd to me, but I am not a grid player. I'm still very new. As I've said before, and will say again, because derogatory self-talk is my bread and butter. Now, something I didn't know when I did that attack button and like a manual bombing run, right? Something I didn't know is that they will keep bombing that same place until you tell them not to. So what I'm not currently realizing is that my bombers up just to the north are just dropping bombs continuously. Just up there bombing away. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb, 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 bomb. So, we're...
Aircraft detected.
Oh, interesting. I'm noticing that we've got a little bit of extra energy coming in, and I could be utilizing that for metal, which is the energy converters. They convert a metric boatload of energy into a pittance of metal, but energy is much easier to get than metal, so what are you going to do? And here you can see our two AI friends are trying to support the front and are not having a great time. I don't know if it was me personally, or if it was the AIs in the front, or the AIs on the other team, but somewhere along the lines, they got a pretty significant land advantage, and they took and used the entirety of their land. And we'll kind of see a little bit of that later on. Yeah, even though I think I ended up making the most resources from the end of the game. At the end of the game, I think my my resource generation was the highest, that doesn't make much of a difference. So, yeah, I'm setting up wasps, which are these like gunships, right? They're pretty good at like defending as long as the enemy isn't using anti-air. Something that does happen later on in this game is the anti-air starts coming. The start of RT2 here, I think I'm going to cut, and we'll catch up in a few minutes after some more building has gotten done and the tactical situation has changed. As you can see, we're back. I think we're about 15 minutes from where we left off. And in a normal Beyond All Reason game, you wouldn't skip 15 minutes at the beginning of the game because you'd be dancing between what other people are doing and seeing that, like if you were watching a replay or something. However, I'm not watching a replay of another game. I'm watching my game, and I happen to know that the AIs and I and my team, which is also AIs, we just kind of get stagnated there, right? So at this point, I've just built a little bit more power. I think I've gone and gotten the advanced metal extractors up and running along our side, making sure that those metal extractors are now pumping out like double the metals than they were. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I want to be building here, and you can see I built some more construction turrets. I built them spaced out because I didn't want them, with the harassment that I was getting, I didn't want to have a significant issue with having, say, like a group of individuals coming in and just chain exploding. So those wind powers, right? They're all at danger of chain exploding because they're right next to each other, and an exploding building does cause damage to those around it. Now, and here you can see I'm getting the advanced fusion reactors set up to be built after the first fusion reactor. And the fusion reactor gives a ton of energy, and the advanced fusion reactor gives even more. Here I am making I'm making a questionable decision. At this point, I had totally forgotten that advanced metal or advanced energy converters were a thing. And so I'm placing down tier 1 energy converters instead of tier 2, which is going to drag down my economy and basically lower the fulcrum that I'm able to lever against the. This is one of those moves that, looking back on it, I should not done. But that's what we're doing here. We're learning. We're trying to learn. And here you can see wasps are those little blue upside down triangle things. Those are my wasps. They're flying around and they're getting some defense, but if I'm not mistaken, they are getting hit by anti-air. And if I remember correctly, I start noticing that. I pull them back a little bit, and I make that patrol route a little bit further back to pull them away from the anti-air. I'm hoping is not going to move forward. Bad news, it moves forward. See, I've got some stealth fighters being built up there as a shield against any incursions. And yeah, you can see the wasps are getting hit there from the anti-air. Instead of pulling them back, I go to check on my fusion reactor, which is, it's being built. It's taking its time. Oh, sorry, this is my advanced fusion. My fusion reactor has been built already. But again, I'm not using advanced energy converters at this moment. my commander is just basically wasting his time down there. He could be building something else, or he could be lending his build power to one of the aircraft buildings and actually maybe changing the course of the battle. But I am not recognizing the anti-air push that the enemies are doing, and I'm not adapting to it yet. I think this is where I try to by starting to include dragons, which are these big flame-throwing fortresses that fly. They're pretty tanky, but they still don't hold up all that great against anti-air. Turns out that you can't beat anti-air with more air, and that's something that I figure out in a little bit here, I think, because I start pushing more towards an equal play, and I start pumping out units for the front from Bot Lab and from the vehicle lab. But we'll get to that as we get to that. You can see here there are a lot of units on the front, and something that I'm not well versed in this game is what units counter what. That's not something that I have in my head yet, and as such I really fumble around in the dark trying to figure out how to fix issues that I'm running into, you know. Oh good, my commander was brought up, and we are now actually using him for something useful. The commander has one of the strongest build powers in the game, like they can funnel resources towards the building at one of the highest rates. Here we go. I seem to be putting down a shield, or at least queuing up a shield to put down, which is important. Something else I may have cut out, but I attempted to go to the north along the northern coast. There is a geothermal zone. I tried to put something up there, tried to make a little outpost up there, but my constructor just got blown out of the sky, so I pulled back and didn't. Or maybe that's to come. I kind of forget exactly where that is. See, at this moment I'm feeling like I have nothing that I can do to help turn the battle, right? And to some degree that's correct, because I don't have the stuff built that would allow me to. So I'm really trying to I'm hoping that my allies are holding their own, right? Somewhere along the lines I send them some advanced constructors in case they need them, which is another thing. That's another role. That would be the tech role. Tech roles are supposed to get tier 2 to people on a schedule, so that you have a technological advantage against the enemies, and you get those metal resources and stuff out faster. Yeah, we're at almost 35 minutes into the game, and I still don't have a single advanced energy converter, which probably isn't great, honestly. Here we get a Condor, which is like an AWACS, right? It provides information about folks from the sky. It's useful. It's a scouting tool. Yeah, and you can see the dragon is hogging a whole bunch of resources, but the advanced fusion comes online, and my energy jumps to, what is that, 5,000? I think. The display I'm looking at is a bit small, so hard to tell. Yeah, I moved to build a shield dome. I am worried about bomb runs and artillery and stuff. And that's when I realize I can play construction turrets. Again, forgetting that I have hotkeys that do grids for me. first dragon lumbering its way towards the front. As you can see, I'm just sitting on like 12k of metal. Like, I should be spending that as fast as I possibly can. I'm lacking a lot of build power to be able to spend the resources that I have. Like, tactics aside, from a base building perspective, I am missing out on a whole bunch of resources from that metal, or the energy that I'm just bleeding away. And additionally, I'm missing... Oh, here we go. This is where I try to put the geothermal power plant. Or whatever it is up there. They never get built. They get destroyed while I'm not looking. Go figure. So, give me a little bit of a defender, and then I'll put a big defender up there. I'll put some radar. It'll be good. I'll be able to see stuff, blow stuff up. Nah, it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Got the dragon coming in. Oh! Didn't need it. The hailstorm took him out. That's right. I think to myself, well, if a hailstorm can take that out, I should be able to push up with the dragon, no problem. Forgetting that there's tons of anti-air on the front. You can see here that now that I've got some more build power pushing, we're building the second fusion much quicker than we were. I think that's the experimental gantry. I don't know. I mean, I know why I was building it. I was looking for some sort of solution to help me break the front. This isn't the way to do it, though. From my understanding, like, breaking a front needs to be this incredibly focused push that really takes into consideration what the thing is using. Or just as a bunch of really good units, just something that actually... Like, I've gotten some... I'm getting every now and then I do something intelligent. Like that hailstorm, right? Coming in and bombing that swarm. That was good. But I don't follow it up with anything intelligent. I just retreat the bombers and I hold the line, right? At this point, my dragon's flamethrowering to try and kill whatever that is. Bombers are bombing. Something I do end up getting a little bit later is I build some nuclear silos, some ICBMs, right? And I don't deploy those correctly, but we'll get to that when we get to that. You can see how, once again, I'm trying to figure out what I need to build, right? Because I don't really have a good grasp of my build order. I'm not quite understanding everything that's going into stuff. So, a default to more economy. It's just kind of how I go, right? Think to myself, well, high ground is good to get, right? So I start making these all-terrain crawlers and I start sticking them on the hill. They don't last too long. I think that's probably due to my bad micro, though, because I'm not up there controlling. I just kind of leave them there and let them sit. Pop down an anti-nuke system because I am paranoid. artillery starting up. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us nearly as much as we hope it would. At this point, that constructor has died, and I didn't even notice it dying. So I just leave it alone, let it be its thing. More concerned about what's going on in the base at this point. We're about to get our first T3 out. Not that it's going to do much good. And you can see our first shield has come online.
Titan detected.
Somebody has also built a Titan, which is another type of T3 unit. I just double checked something. One of the strats that I know about is that you are supposed to put rattlesnakes down, and they're kind of like apparently like a stealthy artillery, right? I was looking for my 4 rattlesnakes in my menu, but because I'm Cortex, they're not called rattlesnakes. Our version, the Cortex version, is called Persecutor. Because of this, I never put it. You'll see me looking for stuff later, I think. Again, look at this. I'm putting down T1. We're 43 minutes into the game, and I'm putting down T1 energy converters. Like, that's when I realize I have advanced. And I'm like, no, stop. So I struggle. I get on the struggle bus, and we play struggle hopscotch all down the line. So finally I'm getting the advanced metal in play, like I should have eons ago. Like, you should have advanced metals at what, like 10, 12, 15 minutes into the game, maybe, max? I'm sitting here at 45 minutes. Yeah. This game doesn't go anywhere pleasant. I think we should skip forward just a little bit, and I'll catch you guys back. And so we find ourselves much further into the game. We're now, 71 minutes in, so I jumped ahead by like another half hour, give or take. Here we start to see that I am desperately pumping out units to try to get a line formed. This is where I said I kind of started to eco spam a little bit. You can see that my base is just barely built up even a little. I've got a couple more fusion reactors, or advanced fusion reactors. And really I put a block of build power to produce land units to try to help turn the tide. But at this point I still don't have T2 land units lining up. But this is where I start just building like a madman. I kind of figure out a little bit of like what I should be doing, right? And here is where I start putting down those nukes. I get my first apocalypse started, and I'm going to cover it with a whole bunch of dragons. They've got behemoths, and those guys are bastards. Very, very tough, very hard to kill. But they don't have any anti-air, so my dragons come in and start roasting the behemoth. Not a bad way to go. Not a bad choice at all. You can see we've got an allied Titan or Juggernaut or something up there. Yeah, I'm still just desperately trying to figure out what the best order of operations for things are here. We've got our metal is coming in and out at about the same rate. Energy is not even touching my energy. Here you see I'm using this advanced trick of part of the basic mechanic of the game, which is to utilize these little recovery boys. You eat metal that is on the ground and reclaim it. Part of controlling the line is being able to do these pushes up to reclaim these huge swaths of metal to build up these bigger and bigger armies as you push further and further along the battlefield. Like you can see all those wrecks there on the right hand side next to the units I'm moving. Those guys. Sweet, juicy, metallic gold. But it's only good if you can get there and grab some. Dragons coming out. You can see the 2, 3 that I've gotten there. Kind of just building the line. These are all T1 units. I'm trying desperately to stand up to T2 and Tier 3, and it's just not going to work. This guy, the big behemoth that I've got out there now, is going to hold a little bit, but honestly, I think my behemoths get caught out of position a lot and just kind of get torn to shreds while I sacrifice them in the name of production. Yeah, their big gun just completely, totally missed. There we go, we got a couple hovercrafts there. That's good stuff. Got our right or front south AI player that's kind of transitioned to entirely ocean. They've done a pretty good job of controlling that southern ocean. I've had to change over to kind of be a land guy. Not just pumping out like whatever units I can, right? Not really. I'm just trying to flood. I'm just spamming the line. And I think to myself, well, how about trying to defend my commander? Because I have the last commander left. So I start just kind of placing a whole bunch of birds with the hope that I can hide my commander behind them. Not really worried.
Titan detected.
at this point, I think my nuclear silo is about ready. If not already built. I don't remember, honestly. And because this is recording rather than the replay, I can't go and see what that's looking like. Honestly, I should probably be using the replay, but that's just not how this particular session turned out.
Beacon detected.
You can see all that anti-aircraft that they have built up, right? And it's just ripping through those dragons. I had, I think, 7, 8 dragons there, and they all went down within, what, 10, 15 seconds? Like, those dragons were my defense against those big units coming in. I should have kept them pulled back. Maybe. So I start building fighters, and I'm not... I think my thinking here was, I'll build an air screen, and I'll have bombers come in behind the air screen, right? Which is a good way of dealing with the anti-aircraft, because you send in a wave of fighters to soak up the AA fire, and then the bombers come in and actually do some damage. The issue here is that I timed it terribly, because I've never really done the big wave push before, right? I end up not being ready for the way that bombers and fighters fly at different rates and how long it takes them to get up and running. Yeah. Kind of a shame. And you can see I'm really having to hug the right-hand side of these rocks, because anytime I go to the left, kind of, like anytime I really get a foothold going over there, I just get blasted by those boats in the Northern Ocean. You get to see just how effective their anti-swarm is. Having that behemoth there just fire lines of destruction, AoE destruction, straight through my swarm really didn't do anything to help. See there, all those purple lines coming up, that's anti-air. That one burst that they got off, like the entire wave burst they got off, took one of my dragons from full to less than half health. sustained fire from all of them, they immediately die. Is this where I panic? This might be where I panic. Think to myself, well, there's no way those fuckers are getting away from me. Maybe bomb them, yes? Maybe? I forget what I'm thinking here. I think I'm thinking I need to use different tanks. The answer was actually to use tier 2. I also just start spamming grunts, just complete and utter swarm. Just no rationale. Now, at this point, I happen to notice that I have a nuclear missile. I've never used one of these before, so I launch it straight into the enemy army. Because I'm not thinking. I think I get 4 or 5 missiles off this team, and I only put 2 of them into the enemy bases. Really a shame. So now I think, okay, I've clearly wiped out their AA, right? That's got to be what's just happened. Let's get these fighters going, and we'll push in and use the fight command and have all of those bombers do their bombing things. No, it turns out I had not actually gotten all of that anti-air. In fact, I had gotten almost none of it, as they completely shred my fighters. My bombers drop maybe a salvo of bombs if they're lucky, and then die horribly. This marks the beginning, the end. The turn from the end is closer. At this point, the end is nigh, and you can see how I have lost a huge chunk of where my base was pumping out units. I think at this point I'm basically just pumping out T2 artillery and wasps in a desperate attempt to stave off invasion. However, you can see what I should have been building were these tier 2 I should really have been building those tier 2 artilleries, and I really should have been building catapults for holding the line. Those big rocket walking mechs that we may have seen some of in the background. So in this situation, I think those probably would have been better to be spamming, but like most of this game, I have a lot of things that I just did wrong. You can see here, I'm trying to get a bot lab out with some build power next to it, just to spam more units up to try to bog them down, right? Take shots for things that otherwise should be able to deal damage. But as we are less than 5 minutes from the end, that doesn't happen.
Juggernaut detected.
Rubber. The long range shots start coming in. My front line collapses entirely. Ocean has been taken over. You can see these amphibious assault mechs coming in. They are tough little bastards. I think to myself, oh, maybe I'll bring some persecutors. Here's where I finally find the fucking defense I should have been using the entire game. And it doesn't matter. These assault mechs come in with some anti-air. An entire wave of anti-air comes in and just starts thrashing everything. Doesn't matter what I have. Doesn't matter how good each individual unit is. They take out my ICBM. They start taking out my defenses, pathetic as they may be, and the game ends shortly hereafter.
Titan detected.
So things things that I have learned here. I need to be much more efficient on my eco, right? I need to be more responsive to the enemy's tactics and less stuck in some pre-thought out
Your
plan
commander
that I
is heavily
have.
damaged.
And most importantly, I need to be using advanced metal or advanced energy converters,
Has died.
because this is how that ends if you don't. And you can see that they just got this huge, massive, they took over the entire map. You can see a couple of places where I nuked,
Battle ended.
but I should have been nuking their backline much heavier throughout that game. Thanks for watching. Remember that this content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment or abuse or other harm to their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org. Link in the description.